Now welcome back to what? My name's Beast, and guess who decided to procrastinate until it's almost midnight again? It's not yet midnight, no. There's still 14 minutes until it actually is. I'm terrible. Yeah, I don't know why. I just keep getting distracted. Like today and yesterday. Like, for some reason, me and someone I talked to also got to the topic of Matsu Sensei. AKA the dude that draws Matty. And I know for certain that most of you know her, just because most of you have probably seen the meme like, touch the cow, do it now. Yeah, that cowgirl in that image, that's Matty. So I was just essentially just looking through a gallery of old pictures that the man's drew. Or woman's, I'm not judging. Who knows, really. I personally don't. I could probably find out if I did research, but I'm not gonna, because I'm lazy. Anyways, let's just get into it. Konomi's late. She said she'd come to wake me up. She hasn't slept in, right? Not even reached the third day. Look at my watch. I need to get going. I have no choice. Partly out of concern, I decided to check at Konomi's house. The thing here, the pitter-patter of slippers approaching, and the door to the entryway opens energetically. Morning. Haruka Izuhara. Gentle-faced yet powerful person, Konomi's mother. She's usually gentle, but she's as scary as a demon when she's angry. I should say I've never actually seen a demon, so she's I should say I've never actually seen a demon, so she's scarier. If I called her Obasan, she would get angry. Frighteningly angry. I'm awkward around her for different reasons than with other girls. I wonder why it is that the girls around me are all unusually fearsome. No, nothing. Not at all. No, not even a little. The accent, he almost called her a boss. No, he didn't. So, Konami, what happened to her? She says that proceeds to pitter-patter up the stairs on her slippers to the second floor. Surely she's not still asleep. Konami! I can feel the atmosphere becoming electric and my ears are buzzing. Whomp, a loud noise comes from the second floor. I don't need to see it to know what happened. It's the sound of a frazzled Konami falling out of bed. Konami really was still sleeping. Morning! If I remember correctly, didn't you say you'd come to wake me up? That's a lie. Didn't your mother just say you never woke up? She emphatically says and then fades away as she adds. Well then, I'm going on ahead. Turns around and hastily rushes up the stairs. She hasn't changed at all. Not at all. I'm used to it. As I scratch my head for some reason, she smiles at me while nodding. Can't find uniform? Know it. While saying this, she goes back up the stairs. This might take a while. At this rate, all jokes aside, I might be late. Go to me! I will be going ahead! That sounds like some being hit with a ladle, followed by Konami shrieking. Now what's going on? Alrighty! Calm down! Good grief. In any case, things have suddenly become hectic today. People aren't normally this frantic. Wait a minute. In yesterday's announcement, class president said something about the school being particularly strict on tiredness. If I'm not mistaken, she said school gates will be shut as soon as the first bell rings. I glanced at my wristwatch. Oh crap! Usually that'd give us a bit more time, but even 5 minutes after the bell could be fatal now. No wonder everyone's in a hurry. See you! I'm going! I waved my hand and run off. Wondering what I was about to say something, but I didn't have time to hear her out. I have to run. Every so often I glance at my wristwatch while running amidst the stream of scrambling students. Everyone is in a total rush going up the slope. There are guys with their school uniform, buttons undone, and girls with a short skirt pedaling furiously on her bike. And a girl, I mean. She's oblivious to the fact that her white panties are showing. Not a single soul here cared for how they looked. I was risking life and limb to sluggishly climb this hill, whipped by the coachman called Time. It's only in March, so why are they so strict about this? My lack of regular exercise was hindering me, and I'm almost out of breath. I'm still confident with running short distances, though. As I make excuses, each of my steps grow heavier and heavier. When I'm walking, the hill isn't a problem. Now that I'm running, it's killing me. The hill goes on without end. I look ahead, and the gate still seems far away. As the hill climb race continues, just about everyone's pace was dropping. As if everyone was moving underwater. Wrapped in the morning sunlight, the students' movements seem to be in slow motion. My brain is going hazy from lack of oxygen. Pretty sure my world would turn into a revolving kaleidoscope if I keep running. Honestly, collapsing before reaching the goal doesn't seem like a bad idea right about now. I blink repeatedly to try and clear the whiteness forming in my field of vision. That's when I see the school gates begin to move. Just a bit more! Take deep breaths and muster every last bit of strength. Ah! Wait! As the gate closes, I turn my body sideways and barely manage to slip through. I made it! Like a runner after a full marathon, I rest my hands on my knees. Eh? Look behind me and see a bicycle drift to a sudden stop, its rear wheels stopping just before the gate. There's a girl riding on the bike. Oh, it's that girl with the white panties. She was ahead of me before, so I must have overtaken her before I knew it. It's already too late, the gate is shut. She violently stops the bicycle and angrily grabs the school gate bars. With a strangely resentful look, she gazes at the other students inside the gate. She looks like a monkey in a cage. Glare. Huh? She pissed at me? I return her gaze and we stare at each other for a moment. As I thought, she's giving me a piercing look. I stopped just at the other side of the gate and probably blocked her path. Could that be why she didn't like it? As I move, the girl's gaze follows me. Without a doubt, she resents me for what happened. Like, this man just starts sidestepping. What I did was surely unforgivable, but there's nothing I can do about that now. While I dwell on my regretful actions, I head to class. Wrong school? What are you doing here? At long last, I awaited lunch break. I hurried to the cafeteria before it gets crowded. Indeed, bachelor's life I lead does not yield many meals, so I have to enjoy lunch at that place whenever I can. I make excuses for myself as I rush down the corridor. I pass a girl heading out of the cafeteria just before I get there. I think she was one of the partners. She's holding a sandwich she bought from the shop. Huh? Did you pass me before? Could ask, but I don't have time to stand around worrying about things like that. Pick up the pace once again.
Oi, Kono.
On my way back to the classroom after finishing my lunch, the homeroom teacher calls me over from the front of the staff room. I have a feeling it might be a bother, but since the teacher called me by name, I couldn't just pretend I didn't hear it. I reluctantly stand in place as the teacher drops a huge pile of printouts into my hands. My premonition was spot on. As soon as he finishes speaking, he hurries back into the staff room without so much as a word of thanks, leaving me in charge of this unpleasant task. No big deal. Assuming I was on my way back to class anyway. Head towards the classroom. Upon entering, I immediately spot the person in question, or its class president. Rather than put it down to coincidence, it's fair to assume that the chance of running into a classmate goes up the closer to the classroom I get. Anyway, I was one step closer to absolving myself of the responsibility. Hey, Tamaki! She was about to enter the classroom, but smiles frankly and returns to the corridor upon seeing me. We opened our mouths to exchange greetings, only to be interrupted by a voice coming from another direction.
次の授業は教室だっけ？
宿題の期限って今日じゃなかったよね、委員長。次休校にならないかな、委員長。
Treated like a nursing mother, her face turned sullen before my eyes.
委員長って気軽に呼びつけないでよ。
Unlike up till now, the excuse that she isn't the real president no longer sticks. Consequently, I'm not so sure that she still has an answer ready. The three classmates that called out to her exchanged looks in response to her unexpected
委員
reaction.
長に見えない委員長？誰も言うこと聞かない委員長。
なかなか視界に入らないけど委員長。
Uh-oh, that didn't change anything. In fact, it seems to have made things worse. As expected, the class president's face goes red.
次は教室。宿題は来週。そんなの知るか。
After accosting and driving those three away, she breathes heavily. In display of what I guess is integrity, she answers their questions despite shouting, though. After a brief pause, she turns to me, somehow having recovered her smile.
君は私のこと委員長って呼ばないんですね。
Well, considering how much you hate being called that, saying it to your face would be a little. In my heart, she was still class president, no matter what, but never mind that for now. I know it vaguely. Which reminds me, I was asked to give these printouts to the class president. Here are today's handouts. When being handed the prints, the class president looks back at me with a blank stare.
そうですよね。
She says and looks away from me and lets
みんな
out
に
a
とって
sigh.
ただの委員長でしかありませんから。
She's sulking.
なんとなく悟っちゃいました。私の一生ってきっとこんな風に過ぎていくんだと。
That's not true. Just when I catch a glimpse of a box filled with study material near her feet. Just then, I catch a glimpse of a box filled with study materials near her feet. Those be the notes for the next class. I feel bad for giving her the printouts then. She's already got stuff to carry. She continues to sulk and face away as if struggling to come to grips with life. Hey, I'll help
いい
you.
んです。私、委員長ですから。
Ah, now she's really pouting. Given her situation, I guess I have to help her, even if I come across as pushy. Stretch my back and pick up the study material that's piled up that's piled up by the door. Just then, another male student passed me by. His arm is wrapped in a plastic cast and bandages, so white they hurt the eyes. Immediately after, I hear a nonchalant
委員
voice.
長、精が出るね。
お前が言うな。
Oops. I don't want to hear that from you. Mia and class president spurred out the same line at the exact same time. Again, we can just walk past her! I actually kind of want to see what the fuck happens by just walking past her. You know, fuck it. We're walking past her. Feels like I'm getting a headache. My eyes are really bothering me. Eye strain. Ouch. Can I take my eyeballs out and exchange them? Maybe I should just go to bed. Damn, that just kind of skips it, huh? Fuck Tomoko, I guess.
ねえ、タカ君。
委員長、精が出るね。
No, actually, nah, I'm not. Load. Let's not be the asshole here. System settings. Skipping is to only skip previously read text. Okay. But we didn't want the auto. I said we didn't want the auto. We want the skip. Now we can actually... School gated up. Kotomi is leaning against the school gate, looking bored and gazing at the sky. She suddenly glances my way and instantly warms up a smile. She leaps up and hurries over. Were you waiting?
今来たとこだよ。
Right. She was looking pretty bored, so I bet she'd been waiting for a while. But if Kotomi is complaining, then it might be best to leave it at that. So as compensation, I give her head a quick rub. She squints her eyes in a ticklish fashion. Well then, let's go home. We walk side by side down the street. Despite walking a fair distance, now we hardly say anything. We go together, we return home together. If we're together this often, we run out of things to talk about. Doesn't mean that it's awkward if we have nothing to say. I don't get bored even if we have nothing to say, as long as she's by my side. I think that's how Konomi feels too. We cross the bridge and descend the stairs to the river bank. Suddenly realized that Konomi has disappeared from my side. Konomi? Look behind me and find Konomi standing still at the top of the stairs, looking at the handrail with a hesitant expression. Surely not. She's not gonna do what I think she is she? Oh no. She's frantically waving at me. She's not, is she? Konomi, that's dangerous. Stop. Stomp! She's not listening. She jumps up on the handrail and starts walking it like a tightrope. Why is it that I keep telling her not to do that, but she keeps doing it anyway? I don't know what she finds enjoyable about it, but she often imitates tightrope walking on the handrail. Also, CG. On the other side is a drop that is not quite worthy of being called a drop, but she could injure herself if she were to suddenly twist and fall. Furthermore, while she may be good at simply running around, she's not so great with balance and turning. Actually, she has never made it to the end. Konomi, that's dangerous! Doesn't look alright. Why does she think I'm trying to stop her? She looks unsteady that can't help but look dangerous. Listen to what I say! You said that before you ended up almost falling, didn't you? She's already lost her balance and is waving her arms around frantically. She isn't alright at all. That looks so dangerous! She tried to regain her balance by waving her arms around, but then forcibly starts running across as if she has decided that it's futile. What? She raised her voice and shouts my way. She takes a flying leap and jumps off. Konomi? Bop. I lightly prod her head with the bag. That's dangerous, so stop it. How many times do I have to tell you? She puts on a troubled smile like she finally remembers my warnings now that she's reminded of them. Seriously, if you fall to the other side and get hurt, what's going to happen? Didn't you just say that it was a close one? Don't try to cover it up with a smile. Sophisticated calculations. Has no end to what shit she can spin. Besides, she's poor at maths, right? As well as other subjects. Well then, why did it look like you were about to fall? What sort of monk would that be? Falling from a tree? That's a worldly priest beyond belief. And she said barbecue? Is that her idea of an outdoor type? However, for some reason or other, when some fun appears in front of Konomi, she immediately forgets about all danger. Such a childish... But to incessantly nag would be inappropriate. I'm always telling her it's dangerous. If she wants to enjoy that sort of thrill... There's some sports you could try like that. How about those? Couldn't you rather try sports that are like that, such as rock climbing?
ロッククライミング？何それ？
You don't know? It's when you climb cliff faces and the like with your bare hands. Apparently, when you become experienced, you can climb the world's most famous cliff face without a lifeline.
へえ。じゃあナイアガラとかも登るのかな？
That one's a waterfall. How would you climb that? I don't like you doing dangerous imitations, but if you're doing it as a proper sport, then I guess it's fine.
ちょっと面白そうかも。それじゃあ今度一緒にやってみようよ。
Don't tell me you have to do it too.
もちろんだよ。
There's no sign of sarcasm in her face.
どこに登ろうか。どうせやるんなら、やっぱ本格的に崖とかがいいよね。
That's what I thought, but this idea is dangerous as well, so let's forget about it, shall we? Don't complain. Don't think about it. It doesn't make sense for me to stop you from doing something dangerous by making you do something even more dangerous. Besides, you need to use all your muscles all the time. Before you know it, you might turn to a muscle woman, you know.
それはちょっと嫌かも。
It's not entirely impossible, but I can't be doing a demanding sport like rock climbing. Besides, if I were forced to keep up with Konomi's pace, I don't think my body would last. I think I'm getting a headache. My eyes are really bothering me. Eye strain. We've already read these.
ねえタカくん、トランプのコツってわかる？
Cards.
休み時間の時によくトランプするんだけど、最近負けてばっかだから、コツとかあったら教えてほしいなって。
There's different types of card games. Some like bridge.
今流行ってるのはポーカーなんだけど。
Wow, poker, eh? Don't tell me you're placing wagers on it.
どうして？
Why? You ask
それ
why?
は、いろいろ。
Oh, I see. Konomi is a delinquent.
でも、キャンディーとかそんなのだけだよ。
I'm just kidding, you don't have to be so defensive. However, it'd probably be hard for Konomi to win.
どうして？
Poker is a game of risk and strategy where you'll try to psych each other out. Wouldn't you be bad at that? As soon as you have any emotion, it shows on your face.
そんなこと、ないと思うけど。
I'm telling you it is. Konomi is honest at the core. Your face changes the moment you're either happy or sad. Often it's about reading the atmosphere, they say. Yeah, but sometimes they put on a face that's a face as a bluff to hide what sort of hand they really
当
have.
たり？ニンニン。
Konomi, quit while you're ahead. Ring ring. What? We hear a bell just moments before a bike rushing at breakneck speed suddenly approaching from behind barely misses us. Konomi jumps away in fright and lands in my arms. I cough from the cloud of dust kicked up at the bike. Konomi also covers her mouth. Riding your bike like that's dangerous! I look up, the rider has stopped right in front of us. Thought she was going to apologize, but the girl simply tilts her head and sneers. I recognize her the moment I catch a glimpse of the side of her face. That's the girl from before. She puts on a provocative smile and slowly starts pedaling away. She occasionally looks back at us. It's clear she did that intentionally. I see. So she was expecting so she was exacting revenge at me.
タカ君。
Konomi's nervous murmur only serves to rile me up. This would be dangerous, so stand back. I gently urge Konomi to take a few steps back. You stay there.
ここにいたら私遅刻しちゃうよ。
Dash! Make a break for school. However, I do not follow the bike. There's an alley that winds in between houses and ends with a flight of stone steps that go all the way to the school. I don't use this route often since it's usually too taxing. If I use all my strength, I can climb these steps faster than traversing the sloping road to school. I imagine the confused face you'll have with this surprising development. The victor's been decided before the battle has even started. Tap, tap, tap. My footsteps tap with a constant rhythm as I ascend the stone steps, feeling confident with my impending victory. In addition to the sound of my footsteps, I start hearing a brusque clanking sound completing with the rhythm. I look behind me and my eyes open wide. What? That white panties girl is gripping the handles of her bike and is fiercely coming up the stairs. I cannot believe that she's taking this route as well. I'm pretty sure this will slow her down. Sure enough, the difficulty of forcing a bicycle up the stairs causes the gap between us to widen. It's clear that turning back and taking the normal route would be the wiser option, but she's so dead set in forcing herself up these stairs. If she thought about it for a moment, she would have noticed the obvious choice, though I do admire that fighting spirit of hers. As I hurry along, I find my way to the gates. Check my watch out of habit. Huh, this isn't so different from running up the hill. That girl still hasn't withdrawn from the fight and is coming up the stairs after me. She really doesn't know when to give up, does she? Noticing that I've already reached the goal, she grows impatient and pushes her bike even harder. Unfortunately, this backfires on her. Her front wheel ends up getting caught on the steps. Thump, 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 thump. The bike jumps each step on the verge of tipping over. Girl hangs on desperately, trying to keep her balance while losing precious time. She finally manages to stop at the steps. I stop once I enter the school gates. I'm worried about her as she's just standing there with her bike, having lost all hope. The thought of abandoning her leaves me with an unpleasant aftertaste. Not sure what she'd say right now if I went up to see her again, but oh well, I should go and help her. I set off to exit the gates. The gate closed right before my eyes. No matter how much I want to help her, it's impossible now. Amen. I clasp my hands in prayer for the unfortunate people outside the gate and head for class.
結構余裕あったよね。
Wrong school! Again! How come you're not out of breath? In a blink of an eye, it's lunchtime. Me and Yuji turned up at the school cafeteria.
しかし味気ねえな。
Udon? Yeah, they only put one piece of the fried stuff in it.
ちげえよ。
Huh? Even though I finally agree, for some reason Yuji raises his voice and glares at me.
俺が言いたいのはこの学食は味気ないって言うんだよ。
Cafeteria. Said as I look around the place. Well, it doesn't quite match up to an average restaurant, but for school cafeteria it is pretty shocking. Literally the food is stiff. What? Hey, but once we get to university, I think there will be genuine cafes on campus. There'll be a world of difference, don't you think?
バカ。お前は本当に何も分かってねえな。問題なのは内装じゃねえ。魂だ。
Spirit?
そう。学食の魂。それはすなわちギャルだ。
I'm going to punch you now. I'm going to chop off your head now. Yuji, hurry up and eat your noodles before they get soggy.
おい、真面目に聞けよな。
What was I supposed to take seriously?
アメリカの学食だと年頃のギャルがバイトしてておかず持ってくれたりするんだよ。
No. No!
なのにここじゃおばちゃんなんだよ。信じらんねえ。
What I can't believe is the way your brain works.
日本の学食も可愛いウェイトレスを採用すべきだよな。
No fucking school cafeterias on this planet Earth have cute waitresses.
できればメイドさんっぽいの希望。ああ、メイド学食ってどっかにねえのかな。
Even if his place has a housekeeper, since he doesn't have a maid, his perversions are making him think of them being even here. Even for rich people, life must be tough. The school bell rang a long time ago, but the sound of scribbling continues to be heard throughout the classroom. Class hasn't been extended. If that were the case, everyone would be lazing around doing nothing. Homeroom had already finished for the day. The sight of students diligently writing despite that was a rare one. The class president had handed out a questionnaire right after class for the graduation ceremony that was soon to be held. There's a reason why everyone is so engrossed in their writing. One of the questions on the questionnaire asked for the graduation quote. Class president, who was also at her desk filling in the questionnaire, raised her head.
ネタは却下ですからね。
She smiles. Multiple students' shoulders jerked, one of which was me. I pulled myself together and faced my questionnaire sheet. I moved my pen to match my thoughts. I'm cleaning my beard. Variation of an old pun. But how lame. It's no good. This is absolutely awful. So bad I start feeling lightheaded with embarrassment. I submit something like this, people will question my personality, or rather my age. When I look at the teacher's desk, I spot the president pressing the back of her pen against her forehead contemplatively. Class president had officially become class president on this day. Her routine had not changed, but Tamaki, who did not stand in the spotlight of her own volition, had trouble accepting that her outward role and her actual role were unified, because she asserted that she was not the actual president on a daily basis. I suppose that the third trimester would end soon anyway. It's just a matter of holding out until then. So another year is already about to end, huh? Time went by, both slowly and quickly. Last year felt eventful, yet it went by in a flash. Hadn't changed much this past year. But a sense of reluctance wells up in me when I consider that I will be changing classes. Someone else will be sitting in this seat next year. Who knows? Might even be Konomi. Let myself daydream for a while. The sounds of the scribbling decrease, and instead voices become audible from all around me. Most students were done in filling in their questionnaires, but a few of my comrades were still squeezing out their wisdom. Class president straightened up from behind the teacher's desk and looked around the classroom.
それではかけた人から前に持ってきてください。
Uh-oh, she realizes her mistake a moment too late. Strong sensation of deja vu as my classmates rush towards the teacher's desk. Class president disappears behind the crowd in the blink of an eye, same as yesterday. It would be better if she would just skip students that weren't done and let students hand papers in as they finish them. Class president never learns. Commotion in front of the blackboard went on. All the while, class president was swallowed up by the whirlpool of people. 10 minutes later, the wave of people finally subsided from the blackboard. In its wake, the president, left behind by the ebbing tide, lay face down and limp across her desk. My condolences. But she hasn't given up. She slowly raised her face and began to sort out the surveys that were scattered all over her head. She looks around the class, and perhaps having ascertained that there were no students left, she left her desk with staggering legs, as though she had been wrung out of it by a dryer. But this was no time to be giving live coverage of class president. If I don't hand in my questionnaire quickly, I'll end up having to bring it to the teacher's lounge. Hey, Komaki! Call out to her while slipping through the desks. Seemingly having noticed me, she turns to face me. At that moment, class president failed to pay attention to where she was standing. She looks like she was about to take a step, but there was nothing for her to step on. She had forgotten that she was standing on top of the teacher's podium and raised a few centimeters off the floor. Oblivious to the danger, class president steps forward with a stack of questionnaires in hand. Her height suddenly drops as she utters a dull, trailing shriek. Fortunately, she manages to recover her footing somehow and narrowly avoids tumbling to the floor, but the stacks of surveys she was holding in her arms scatters about. Just like a scene from manga, class president stared blankly at the disaster before her. Quickly pulling herself together, she turns to me and put on a troubled smile. I have a hard time thinking that the stage changed size by itself, but I refrained from saying anything. The students that had finished writing had already left the classroom in a hurry. Looks like I'm the only one who can help her. Oh well, I guess it was partially my fault for calling out to her in the first place. I'll help you. I say as I bend over and reach for the questionnaires that lie at my feet. She quickly bends over to snatch the papers before I can. Whack. Clean hit. She unhesitatingly hits her forehead against the desk. She was concentrating on the paper so much that she forgot about her surroundings. She smiled to hide her shame while her tears filled her eyes. Being asked for agreement put me on a hard spot. I was nowhere near as clumsy as her. Nor was I cruel enough to respond sharply and do irreparable damage as her classmate to give her a vague smile while reaching for the scattered questionnaires. She pushes me back. You're clearly not fine at all. While her pushing grew more incessant, it was Tamaki herself who for some reason slid back. After moving to an area where I couldn't reach her, class president covered her swelling forehead and began picking up the survey forms on the ground. Diligence is all well and good, but it's not easy to try to do everything by yourself. Isn't it better to ask for help when you need it? It's not like I need her permission anyway. I kneel down and start picking up the questionnaires out of my own accord. It's not a big deal. As soon as she was done being flustered, she rapidly picked up the forms. I don't know why the president projected help so firmly, but we would finish sooner if she would move instead of quarrel. She tries to stop me as I try to prevent her from doing so, and for a moment our hands were about to meet. Since she's a girl, my body reacts instinctively and tries to flinch away. But to do something like that would hurt her feelings. It took a great deal of effort to hold back the urge. Our hands meet. But the frightened one turned out to be Incho. Whoops, class president. I think I might have upset her a little. Our fingers had only barely brushed past each other, but the flustered class president pulls her hand back. And realizing that she might have offended me, her cheeks flush, and she starts to try to make an excuse. Slide, slide. Unlike her usual slow movements, class president retreated from me with the nimbleness of a small animal. She cowered slightly and continues apologizing. I felt a bit uncomfortable. I understood what she was trying to say, but it bothered me that she had to cry it out. Don't be, it's fine. Really. I shouldn't have forced myself on you like that. Told you it's fine. I understand what you mean, so don't worry about it. In the end, when I had finished soothing the earnestly apologizing class president, the sky had turned crimson. Crows away for their nests, and it had completely turned to dusk. In hindsight, she may have finished faster if I hadn't helped her. Class was supposed to be empty except for the two of us, so I was startled when I heard a voice from behind. Standing there with a blank stare was Yuji. He casually hands me a bunch of questionnaires. I look at the pile of sheets in my hand before I bring my face closer to his and whisper, Yuji, do girls hate me? He smiles mischievously. How did you come up with that? She does that by herself. Besides, it's only sometimes, isn't it? Yuji put a lid on me as I raised my voice. He waved his hands dismissively at the class president who looked at us cluelessly. Who and who? He says, smiling broadly, I'm not bad with girls. Huh. Wait, does that mean class president is no good with boys? I see. So that's what she is like. Yuji distanced himself from me again, and with a sincere look he looked at me and then at the more distant class president. What? Who and who? What are you saying? He jerks up his chin so as to face the ceiling and lets out a defeated sigh. Yuji suspends his bag from his fingertips and heads towards the exit. You can't cheer for me. Could it be that you... Do you like that? Get lost! Yuji runs out of the classroom laughing. Don't ever come back! Left behind were just the two of us, me and class pres. For some reason I'm starting to feel a little embarrassed. As I pick up the last remaining sheet, I remember class president's skin that I so fleetingly touched. Perhaps because she had been holding that stack of paper, her hand felt pleasantly cool. Because of that, I wasn't as conscious of the fact that I was touching someone else's skin. I was able to remain calm. Here, I had the questionnaires that I had finished gathering over to class president. She does an exaggerated bow. To avoid any more accident, I very carefully hand the sheets over. Good thing Yuji isn't here to see this, or he would have burst out laughing at how awkward this looks. I see, said the president also. It's not like I'm mattered that we were similar, but I felt a vague sense of companionship with her. But really, that doesn't matter. Oh, here's mine. I had completely forgotten. I placed my own sheet in class president's hands. After taking my form, class president glanced at my graduation quote and said one word. What? Not quite bedtime yet. Guess I haven't been playing video games that often lately, and the new fighting game I picked up is still stashed away. I'd put on a good show at the arcade, so let's practice.
Ohayo!
Nah, you got up right on time. That's impressive.
もしかしてタカ君、それって褒めてるの？
Huh? I guess it was.
なんか全然褒められてる気がしないよ。
It is for you. I've just noticed that I haven't seen that bike girl who's always in a rush. Scan my surroundings, wary of any movements. No, I'm sure it's okay. I'm not on the verge of being late, nor am I standing right in front of the gates, so I shouldn't run into her. Besides, saying that whatever happens twice happens the third time is nothing but superstition. And indeed, superstition is real! I felt something crash into me, which knocks me down on my back. Then I see a girl go flying over me. Superman! As fate has it, it's that bike girl with the white panties. Girl flies in the air with her eyes wide open. Can't even begin to imagine what's going to happen to her after that. Ah, she landed. I hastily look around from where I am on the ground. Spotting her, I see that she fell head first into the shrubs. Fortunately, she didn't hit a wall or the ground. The distance the bike was thrown after the impact says a lot about the severity of the crash. Well, for it to be thrown for that far in an instant. Although I think it's important to note that I'm still quite alright. Ow. After I picked myself up from the ground, I noticed the girl hasn't moved an inch. I'd have a closer look. Not only did she dive headfirst into the shrubs, but also the upper half of her body is completely engulfed in greenery. Please don't tell me she's going to pin the blame for this on me too. I shudder at the thought of her cries of indignation. I wonder if I should make a break for it before she comes to her senses. But it's already too late. Onlookers were already gathering, and if I abandon her now, it would be incriminating. I timidly approach the bushes. Hello? She must be unconscious. There's no response. However, with her head stuck like that, it looks like she's in some kind of modern art piece. Might as well paint her gray and pretend she's a statue. Anyway, I should pull her out. But to do that, I need to touch either her waist or her butt. How should I do this? First of all, I should ask for her permission. Is it okay if I help you stand? No answer. Is that a little response? I wonder if she fainted. Even so, her panties are really showing, huh? No, wait, they're bloomers. Still bring forth the same kind of embarrassment, I suppose. No, wait. You see them well enough during PE, so why would it be inappropriate when they're just worn under a skirt? Hello, are you? How are you in there? Whoa! I reflexively stepped back. It spoke! As I ponder on the voice coming from inside the bush, she wriggles her body free from the hedge. We then make eye contact. So this is actually what was speaking. This is the first time I've looked her square in the eye. She's pretty cute, but now it's hardly the situation to admire her. She stands with firmly raised eyebrows and scowls at me. She mutters, trying to hide her fury. The oppressive aura she radiates causes me to step back without thinking. For now, I offer a slight cramped smile in an effort to bring about a friendly atmosphere. So on the bright side, you're not late today, right? Adding fuel to the fire. I realized that's the moment I said that. A group of people watch us start booing. She seems to be seriously pissed off. I raise my hands to protect myself, but I immediately retort. Hang on a second! You weren't going to be late anyway, and yet weren't you the one who flew right at me? And on a bike too! I was about to back down from the argument when I was assaulted with a verbal barrage.
そうよ、校門の時だって。ああ、もう人が行く先邪魔ばっかり。心構わずボケーっとしてるのが趣味なわけ？そういうのはよそでやってよ、よそで。それとも先回りしてるの？こうもタイミングよく現れるってどういうこと？しまいには三つ子とか四つ子なんて言い出すんじゃないでしょうね。私に恨みでもあるんだったら今ここではっきり言ったらどうなの？
It was like she was reading from a script, saying all that in one breath. She ended her tirade by pointing at me. Come on, even if you ask me to say something. I'm not sure how I'm supposed to answer after being yelled at like that all at once. I struggled for a bit and then finally... I've got nothing, really! The moment I answered nonchalantly, her face flushed even more.
別にって何よ？別にって理由もないのに人のことつけ回してるっての？まさか偶然なんて言い出すんじゃないでしょうね。下手な言い訳いるよね、そういうやつ。頭にマヨネーズひねりたくなるくらい嫌い。この変態。
After spouting unbelievably horrible words, she suddenly shuts her mouth. She noticed a crowd gathering around us. The finger she's pointing towards me begins to shake as she is reluctant to complete that word. Her mouth wordlessly opens and closes.
とにかく
He stamps her heels twice in
この借り
irritation.
は後できっちり返してやるから。
As soon as she said that, she picked up her bike, got on, and left. I stood dumbfounded for a short while. She just came and left like a storm. Anyway, she's carrying a mountain bike, and she looked like she was in pain. I'll watch my back from now on. With the spectacle over, the gathered audience slowly disperse and head for
何
class.
かあったんですか？
Ah! Startled by the sudden voice behind me, I leapt 50 centimeters off the ground. Timidly, I turned around to look and see a class president standing there, having called out to me.
どうかしました？今のユマですよね。
I'm not really sure. Yuma?
未確認生物じゃないですよ。ゆ、ま、理由のゆに真実でまです。
Class president grandiosely draws the characters in the air. It may not be a mysterious creature, but in the same way, I have no desire to run into one. They'll just keep wailing at my back every time. You know her? Seems like the class president just happened to see at the tail end of what happened. Point to the general area of the bicycle rack. That white painted girl Yuma was no longer there.
中学からの友達です。クラスは別ですけど。
That's for sure. If such an unusual person was in our class, there's no way I wouldn't know of her.
知りません
Wouldn't know of
か？
her.
隣のクラスなんですけど。
I don't really recall seeing her. Can't assume that I can attach a name to every girl's face in our
二度も
batch.
三度も寸前で邪魔してくれて。
The girl's words abruptly surface in my mind. Don't tell me that if things happen thrice, it can happen even more often. It's probably
ユマと
impossible.
揉めたんですか？
As president examines my expression and repeats the question a third
妙なちょっ
time.
かい出したんでしょう。
Whatever you may be thinking, I didn't start it. What's with the skeptical look?
おい高木、何のんびり教科書なんかしまってるんだよ。
As soon as the bell rings, Yuji leaps over to my chair with impatience. Taking my time, textbooks, what's he talking about? Class is over and it's lunchtime. What's wrong?
何とぼけてやがる。急がないと飯にありつけないぜ。
Isn't there some bread roll you can just buy? I'm fine with bread from the cafeteria, you know. I'll have a roll from the cafeteria. If you're not big about your lunch, it's no problem.
知らなかったのか？周りを見てみろよ。どこにのんびり教科書を片付けてるやつがいるんだよ。
Sure they are. I hold that thought. Contrast to what Yuji says, there are students collecting their books and notebooks. On the other hand, indeed, there are some who leave them on their desks and rush out. There's no middle ground. Those who left haven't cleaned up their desks. What's the difference between the two? The answer is obvious. None. They have food, and those cleaning up are no exception. After this, they'll be opening their bento boxes.
今日はパンの業者が遅れるってよ。食堂はめちゃ混みだぜ。急がねえとテーブルにもつけずに立ち食いだ。それも飯が残ってたらの話だがな。
Oh, crap! I got up immediately. Gonna have to leave the textbooks up top of the desk. When I exit the classroom, guys and girls every year are involved in a massive foot race. The goal is, of course, the cafeteria. But Yuji, why not the convenience store? Might be a little far, but that's okay, right? Naturally, we also participate in the foot race. Yuji furiously shakes his head as he pants.
俺は学食のラーメンが食べたいんだよ。
That stuff, huh? I don't care what you say, it's just supermarket soft noodles. I could add that the soup is just powdered wakame, I'm sure of it.
分かってるよ。 でもあれはあれでいいんだ。
Well, I guess ramen's clearly a special case. There are times when I crave for it, and at school the cafeteria is the only place that offers it. Though the reason is really because the shops won't serve them. But those noodles are the same as the yakisoba noodles.
それには俺も同意。おい、こっちこっち。
Yuji frantically waves from where he's reserved seats while being almost out of breath. Yuji's done his part. Mine was buying the food. My tray full of ramen, dodged the flow of people left and right, and I make my way to Yuji. So about the way, school ramen and have dead fried rice. I didn't really catch the sarcasm. Before I could even sit down, Yuji was already taken his portion, pulled his chopsticks apart, and started eating his food. But what's with all these people? There are so many people walking behind my chair. They're pushing against my back. From my seated point of view, the crowd looks all the more intense.
この食堂ができて以来の混雑だろうな。
Yuji's made it halfway through his rice and gulps down the ramen soup.
早く食べないと迷惑だぜ。あとはまだまだ使えてるんだ。
Yeah, you're right. Take another look around the inside of the cafeteria, then reach for my wooden chopsticks.
あれ、委員長じゃないか？
Yuji's looking somewhere far off. I follow his gaze. When I find her, I unknowingly stop moving my chopsticks. Indeed. Class president appears and disappears amidst the waves of people. She looks a bit lost standing by the entrance. Looks like she's just got here. She's already way too late if she plans to get lunch. Doesn't look like she knows that bread roll seller didn't come today. There's no sign of the crowd subsiding. However, it looks like she isn't budging for some reason.
そういえば、委員長っていつもパンだったよな。
Yuji raises, then lowers his chopsticks to even
もしかして食券のこと知らないとか？
Maybe. After fidgeting for a while, she eventually heads for the line outside the kitchen, looking uncertain. Too bad. You have to buy your meal tickets in advance. The queue is long. If she finds out that she needs a meal ticket when turn comes and has to queue up again, she will miss out on lunch. You gotta go and help her. I prepare myself to call out. A voice in Kansai dialect echoes nearby without hesitation. I recognize that voice. She's one of my classmates. Another girl chimes in, and class president frantically swallows their advice. Slight laughter breaks out nearby, but that's all. They were just worried, not being mean. I got left behind due to my shyness. I lowered the hand I needlessly raised. That wasn't the end of class president's troubles. Even after she got her meal, the confusion around the tables hasn't died down yet. Hey, Yuji? Watching class president, I jab Yuji with my elbow. Squeeze in.
なんで？
So we can fit one more person. I nod in the direction of class president.
椅子はどうするんだよ。
We can both share one chair.
おいおい、マジかよ。
He complains but scoots in. Seeing her scuffle around left and right with her tray was enough to convince
し
him.
ゃあないな。おい、委員長。
Yuji's voice doesn't reach class president amidst the noise. He doesn't get a chance to call her again as another girl nearby calls class president. She settles down over
鉄
there.
を割らずに済んだな。
At a loss, Yuji removes his raised
ま、
hand.
誰かが放っておかないよな。委員長だし。
Yuji says, sounding like a sore loser, then returns to his spot and picks up his chopsticks. Yeah, she is the class president. She's the class president. They're words that make it easy to figure out why everyone knows her.
かわいいと遠くだね。何かと。
Not only that, she also appears very reliable. But that's not all. Even if she didn't carry the title, class president, people couldn't just leave her be if she was in trouble. Because she herself works real hard for others. She's a girl who gives her all for people without caring about herself, and that endears her to the people around her.
まあな。俺も覚えあるし。
The class president also helped Yuji more than once. Where others would take time to get things moving due to formalities, she's able to do it smoother and quicker. It's a wonder. It's not like there's anything special about it, though. If anyone got tangled up by a rope, she'd be able to loosen it up like magic. She's not exactly the most elegant mediator, but yet she's at the center of our class. Everyone really depends on her. She has far more worth than she herself thinks.
何やってるんだ？とっくに食い終わってるぞ。
Yuji snaps me from my stupor. I was trying to grab food from an empty
次が
bowl.
使えてるから早いとこ撤収するぜ。
Yuji's already getting up. I hastily pick up the tableware and put it on the tray. All the tableware goes to its respective return box. You have to put each of it in its own lane. After laying them out on the aluminium rollers, they'll slide over to the washing area. Can't line up here. I stopped 3 steps behind Yuji.
どうした？早くしろよ。
Check this out. Wait for Yuji to move beside me and toss the tableware over my head. The plastic tableware let items each land in their respective lanes with a satisfying sound. Strike. Strike a triumphant pose.
ボーリングじゃねえっつの。しかし、こういうくだらないことに関しては情熱を燃やすやつだな。
For your information, I score 100 in bowling.
だからくだらないって言ってんの。
Without answering him, I decided to put the cup gently in the silver rollers. Shouldn't be doing this with a cup anyway.
全くくだらないわね。
Hear her voice 3 steps behind me where I was,
そ
just
の
was.
程度で何を自慢げにしてるわけ？
The girl from this morning, her name was Yuma or something. What's her last name? Yuma what? Past president didn't tell me that. It's not really something to be proud
い
of.
いでしょう。
Miss Yuma clears her throat and gives me a piercing look.
その挑戦、返り討ちにしてくれるわ。
Oh no! She's going to constantly walk up to him about literally anything and challenge him. She adds a sound effect to her pointing finger. Yuji and I look at each other at all at this surprising
高
development.
木、挑戦したのか？
Not at all.
格の差というものを思い知らせてやる。私はこいつよ。
She shouts and picks up a ramen bowl. Indeed, it's much harder balancing that than a flat dish, so the degree of difficulty will be high. The 5 of them?
それ俺の。
She snatched them from the people around her. Well, they're all empty, so no one's going to complain.
行くわよ。今必殺の展示用よ。
Ah! That was actually a very stupid idea, even for a bit. I shouldn't have done that. My eyes. That's a daylight lamp, by the way. Oh, fuck, my eyes hurt now. That means it would return to you, wouldn't it? With exquisite precision, they fly over the lane and land to the end without toppling over, smoothly slide into the wash place on the rollers. With all 5 disappearing beyond the lanes, a spontaneous round of applause comes from around
どう
us.
だ、参ったか。
He strikes a triumphant pose and looks at me proudly. Yeah?
あーって、それだけ？
Yeah?
悔しくないの？
Nah?
なぜ？
Well, it's not like I'm betting my youth on that. She groans and points at me
こ
again.
れで勝ったと思うなよ。
I did lose. Yeah.
こーら
Reverberating yell bellows from the washing place. Before we knew what's going on, the owner of the voice shows up. The kitchen lady was covered in ramen
あ
broth.
んたね
Yuma points at herself, surprised. She finally knows that she's the only one at the return stand.
皿を投げるなというのがわかんないのこの悪ガキめ昨日もおとついもあんたの仕業でしょ今日という今日はわかってるわね
Yuji and I nodded her flustering, lofty glance. Let's go.
そうだな。
Owning up to each other's crimes won't appease her anger. On the contrary, it'll only piss her off more. I pray for Yuma from the bottom of my heart. We can no longer help her.
ちょっと、あんたら何他人のふりしてるの？こら、よそ向くな。
何あんたじゃないの
いや、それは。
Since she didn't deny it immediately, the kitchen lady grabs her by the scruff of her neck and drags her into the kitchen. Yuji mutters to himself as we hear the cries grow distant.
今サメの映画を思い出したよ。
I remember the crocodile one. That aside, the story wasn't over. Oh! I bumped into someone around the corner as we left the cafeteria to return to the classroom. It wasn't a bad collision, but I realized that I ran into a girl based on the soft sensation I felt, so it took me a while to move from where I was.
すみません。あれ？河野くん？
Komaki, are you okay?
まあ。
She rubs her reddened nose with tears in her eyes as she says that. Looks like I hit her square in the face. I go red when I realize what that the soft feeling was her breast.
何やってんだよ。
Yuji says in an amazed voice, bending over and collecting the scattered things on the corridor. Countless number of sweet buns, as unexpected of class president. What was that, I wonder? That's sensational.
なんだかんだ言って到着したんだな、パンの業者。
Yeah, this makes all of them.
ありがとうございます。
Class president bows and then looks up at us with upturned
こ
eyes.
れ食べます？
She says as she hands out one of the sweet breads we gave her. What's all this for? There's so many.
委員長、食堂にもいたよな。
This can't be your snack, couldn't it? Is this undersized class president such a glutton?
だって
Class president tilts her head
パン
slightly.
がたくさん売れ残ったらパン屋さん困るじゃないですか。
うわ、こいつ眩しい。
I couldn't agree more.
はーい、みんな注目。
Class Prez stands at the podium, waving her hands, trying to get everyone's
生徒
attention.
会からのお知らせがあるからみんな聞いて。
She reads out the printout.
昨日生徒会の決定で卒業生の送別会が中止になりました。
Class Prez's announcement causes a stir throughout the class. I whisper to Yuji. Say, wasn't the farewell party this Friday?
ああ、いつもなら卒業式の前々日の午後、授業を潰してやるからな。
We haven't experienced it ourselves, but if our observation of last year's program was anything to go by, that's about right. Yuji nods and
それ
says,
を有無も言わせずいきなり潰すとは、さすが副長、女土方。やってくれるぜ。
Vice Commander, female Hichikata? That's a term I've never heard of before. Hey, what's... Before I can ask, Class President continues, attracting Yuji's attention, and I miss my chance.
じゃあ金曜の午後は何やるんですか？
それは普段通りの授業になると思うんだけど。
なんだって？
Protests are raised from around the room.
どうも授業。
だらしないぞ委員長。
教師の犬め。敗北主義者は首つっちゃえ。
What the fuck? This one needs to shut the fuck up. Like, this doesn't even have anything to do with teachers, pet. Like, it's a fucking decision by the goddamn people that are in charge of that event. She's just a spokesperson, essentially. Like, she is the messenger. The class president becomes frantic in the face of the class's fury, but just as it reaches its peak, Incha's voice rings out. The classroom goes quiet.
生徒会が決めたことなんだから文句は生徒会に。
Well, can't argue with that. But there's no one courageous enough in this class to do that.
生徒会。
副長に切り捨てられるのは勘弁な。
Never realized it before, but the student council does seem to have quite some power. But to suddenly cancel? What's the reason? Class president looks uncomfortable, trying to point out that it's not her fault.
理由は予算の都合。
Huh? State of the
去
budget?
年いっぱい予算を使ったから今年は予算ないって。
Everyone wilts at her words and we quarrel amongst
予
ourselves.
算か。
予算ね。
あのお祭り生徒会の負の遺産か。そりゃ反論できないわ。
負の遺産って今の生徒会長もだけどね。恨みもよっぽどあったんじゃない？前生徒会長に。それはあるかも。一番の不満分子が前生徒会長の懐刀と呼ばれた現生徒会長だもんね。江戸の仇を長崎でって気もするけど。
While they're discussing that, homeroom comes to an end. As everyone prepares to go home, I remember something. Say, Yuji, this vice commander and female Hichikata you mentioned, who is it? Yuji gapes at me and
う
says,
ちの生徒会長様のあだ名聞いたことないのか？
I shake my head. Yuji shrugs and
この
sighs.
のんぽりめ。
This vice commander Hichikata thing, are you referring to the Hichikata and the Shinsengumi?
ああ、その副長。近藤勇の影に立ち、隊を仕切って粛清しまくり。 前の生徒会じゃ副会長として予算からスケジュールから何まで仕切りまくりの切りまくり。
Yuji tries to enlighten me with student council intrigue I don't care much about.
今の生徒会長は立候補じゃなくて前の生徒会長の推薦でなったのは覚えてるよな。
Sort of.
そうだよ。それでうちの学校って生徒会への立候補は生徒会長以下他の役職ワンセットが基本だけど、候補者がいないときは前の生徒会長が次期生徒会長を指名して信任投票にかけるんだ。その時は特例で他の役職は生徒会長になった後で決めていいんだけどな。でも現生徒会長様は未だに誰も副会長も会計も指名してないんだぜ。わかるか？必要ないんだよ。現生徒会長様には一人で全部できるから。
No way.
まさかなもんか。前の生徒会の時も本来の会計も初期も型なし、最後には辞職。早い安い、おまけに完璧で一部の隙もなしじゃ誰もやる気にならないっていうのが本音かもな。おまけに真面目一徹でそばにいると息が詰まるみたいだし。ここだけの話、クラブの幹部連中もビビりまくりだぜ。予算の都合で新学期から活動実態の怪しいところはお取り潰しって噂だからな。
No way.
いやマジだって話。前の生徒会はやりすぎたからな。
That's true. It was fanatical about the cultural. It was fanatical about the cultural festival, athletics festival, Christmas, and Valentine's Day. It's definitely not normal to hold a marriage meeting party at school. Thinking about it, to handle so many events would require some serious budgetary acrobatics.
真面目でお堅い生徒会長様はお嫌いなんだろうさ。だいたい生徒会には無理やり引き込まれたって話だし。いい加減嫌になってるんじゃねえの？お前も気をつけろよ。
Huh?
副長様に逆らったらお前退学コース一直線だぞ。
Vice Commander Fumin Hijikata. Let's see. Mystery person. Ooh. Save game data. Oh, but you can't save here. I'm just stupid. I just opened this and thought it was the fucking mode thing again. Sidebar, this fucking sidebar configuration. You can't just save the fucking game here. I'm stupid. I could hang out with a bro, but I want to see who the mystery person is. Goddamn that fucking Yuji. He said that my diet living alone is decidedly limited, that he heard somewhere that not eating enough vegetable makes your body too acidic or something and it's bad for your health. It's not that I hate vegetables. Look, it's just that making a vegetable salad is tedious. I just want to have meals sorted out from frozen food. Fucking Yuji. It's rich of him to talk about making food when he eats at home. I wonder if he even cooks himself, okay? He cooks for himself occasionally. Even if he did, he probably wouldn't say it. Besides, only eating vegetables once in a while is pointless. Well, from tomorrow or the day after, I'll probably have restored my body's neutrality. Probably. And that's how I casually ended up at Shopping Arcade. I'll take one look around for now. I know my bag is heavy with CDs and new textbooks. Today's task isn't that important. Arguing with myself, I finally turned towards a greengrocer. Ugh, expensive. I'm at a loss standing before the basic vegetables. Are fresh vegetables always as expensive? Vegetable juice has the same nutritional benefits, that would be a cheaper way. If I have a lot of fresh vegetables living alone, they just spoil. Should I or shouldn't I buy some? As a serious debate, spending a few hundred yen, the girl beside me appears to have the same issue. In front of the croquette store. He's wearing a green outfit standing before the oil splash guard, unable to decide whether to reach out or not. Looking sidelong at her serious face, it beats even mine. Looking more carefully, I see she's a maid robot. So she is. There's no doubt from the look at those ear coverings. It's not like I haven't seen them lately, but given their high price, they're not a usual household item. I haven't had a chance to see one up close, so I find myself staring. Seems to be shopping for dinner just like me. She's really well constructed. The only thing that sets her apart from a human are those ear coverings. I wonder if you pluck them off, what's under them. Maybe ears are just like a human. Or perhaps there's a kind of cable bundle over there, under there. What's in my hand? I slapped the back of my own hand. I can't go pulling off the covers just cause they're just cause you're interesting. What if the ears and coverings are connected? You make a mess, then what? Still, it really does intrigue me. I'm sorely tempted. No, you can't! You can't! I force myself to avert my gaze, but her non-robot maid-like manners intrigues me and I look back. Her hesitancy to touch before the splash guard continues. What's making her so hesitant? This looks like a regular croquette store. Moment's hesitation. Can't leave her alone after all. What's the matter? Again, I call out to her as though she is a regular human woman. But the reason I could speak to an unknown girl is because she's not human. No answer. She is not ignoring me as she is looking directly at me now. Her mouth is moving, but no voice comes out. I've heard of this, come to think of it. If a maid robot encounters some life-threatening inconsistency, one feature ceases working for safety reason. For some reason her voice appears to not be working temporarily. Suddenly her expression turns blank. It's like she's downloading data from a satellite in geostationary orbit. It's over. Wave. She starts gesturing me. What is this, mimicry? No, wrong, it's sign language. This is what she was downloading? But I don't understand it. Sorry, I can't read sign language. She seems to desperately trying to communicate, but I can't understand it at all. I feel terribly sorry for her. Presumably noticing my feelings, she smiles. Just seeing that gentle expression makes my reticence fade. But she's a maid robot. Is she programmed to ease people's anxieties this way? No matter how human she appears, she's a maid robot after all. She's a thing. Nowadays, someone touching a pet dog can be mistaken for a pet thief, so having a discussion with a maid robot on the street side might be interpreted as an attempt to steal her. Well, I'm not really having a discussion since she's not speaking. I'm sorry, but I can't understand your intent and cannot help you. Sorry, you should, a Karasugawa serviceman should come out for repairs. Wave him comfortably and head off without buying vegetables. Grip. Something's grabbed my sleeve. Tug. It's tugging my sleeve. She looks at me with a forlorn expression. Has she concluded that she needs my help to complete a shopping task? Tug. Pulling again. I can't leave her alone with that expression on her face. She looks at me with an upturned gaze. Jeez, I lose. Okay, I give up. I'll help you. Her eyes light up and she smiles. First of all, what do you want to do? Buy croquettes? Seems odd to have a maid robot buy croquettes for dinner, though. Shake. As expected, she shakes her head side to side. I look where she's staring. What, the butcher? Nod. He smiles as she nods. So what's she doing outside the croquette store? Is this expression also a function designed to help her perform her owner's requests? I think to myself as we both cross the street. Huh? Weird? Wrong? Something, egg! You need eggs! M size? L size? What, the brown ones? In this manner, I read from her mouth movements, and we both progress her shopping. What she has in her shopping basket is now sliced hams, eggs, cabbage, and veggies to stir-fry. But she has tofu, too. What's she doing with that? When she went in front of a different greengrocer, she pulls on my sleeve again. It's probably veggies she's missed out on buying. I look to where she's pointing. Bitter melon? Nod. Really? You want bitter melons? Nod. Really? You want bitter melon? Nod. She's not frying vegetables, but making a bitter melon dish? I have heard of that, but I didn't know if tofu went into it. Poke. She makes a victory sign to me after prodding me. No, she's indicating she wants two. Excuse me, as I point out the bitter melon to the attendant, supplement sentence. Bitter melon, 100 yen, limited to one per customer. That's what's written on the price tag. This one per customer obviously means per person. So what about her? These signs usually mean children don't count. So does that mean maid robots don't count? In which case I can only buy one bitter melon. But I didn't need to worry. I was allowed to buy 2 bitter melons, one for each of us. The shop owners seemed to be familiar with her. Besides, having calculated she could buy 2 with me being there was surprisingly cunning of her. The shopping proceeds unsurprisingly smoothly without a hitch. I read her intent from her expressions, and before we know, we're looking at each other without any inhibitions. It's just as if what? Look at her profile and see nothing different from a human girl's. The little gesture of combing her hair back over her ears coverings. It absolutely appears she has blood running through her, as if she has blood running through her. I wonder if her skin is warm. That would be rude to touch her. Rude? Wouldn't that be how to describe doing that to a human? I'm a little perplexed at the change in my own perception. Seeing her face from the side, it's brimming with a gentle smile. So, it goes with it surprisingly well. Ketchup, really. Don't be so worried. It goes really well with fried vegetables. Ketchup. Fucking normies! Sorry. The sun hangs low and the colours of the street start to fade. A bell can be heard ringing far off, signaling the evening time. With all the shopping finished, we head for the train station terminal. The sun is setting, but there's still little set between us. We have nothing more to speak about. Our conversation now is unbelievable before it ceases. Just as I am when I'm in front of a girl, in that time space, I immediately lose my composure. You know, I open my mouth, forcing a discussion. What are we hesitating for in front of the croquette shop? Do robots hesitate too? Don't calculations of whatever only give one answer? I realize I've asked an impolite question. Since she can't speak anyway, she puts on a troubled smile. Sorry, now I'm getting embarrassed. Considering I thought her no different to a human female till of just a moment ago, how cruel of me. Trying to divert attention away from the awkwardness, I found myself spouting nonsense due to being uncomfortable. Make sure to put them into the vegetable mix. Bean sprouts. She doesn't hear me. Something seems to have attracted her attention. What she's looking at is... her eyes are fixated on a baby. She smiles just a little with her eyes following a baby only recently newborn. Seeing her like this, she's no different to a human. She is staring suddenly to me as though sensing my watching her. Looking at me. She inclines her head. That, nothing. Smile. She gives me a gentle smile at my flustered expression. Really no different. As we leave from the arcade and arrive at the station, she stops walking. She's getting a bus from here. She courteously bows and gets into a bus at the bus terminal. She's getting a numbered ticket at the bus entry. Maid robot also pays a single fare, I guess. She bows again from within the bus and I wave at her shoulder height and smile awkwardly. I watch her disappear from the bus off into the distance in the cloud of bus exhaust fumes. I feel like all the questions I've had till now were answered today. It's not a matter of whether they are personal or not. One doesn't need a reason to think of them as special. That's all there is to it. So what the fuck was that weird moment of enlightenment? What? What the fuck happened? This man just like fucking spontaneously reached enlightenment with the help of the fucking Buddha. Hold on. I completely forgot about my own shopping. I hurried back to the greengrocer. I remember her standing out here in front of the croquette store next door when I first saw her. What inconsistency was making her so worried. Passed by the greengrocer to stand near where she was. There was a glass splash guard in front of the store to stop cooking oil from splattering. There was a hand-affixed sticker on it, and at the bottom of it was some writing. Hot, don't touch. I wonder if there's still a bug affected by that. The TV quietly drones on as the late night news washes over me. It's already this late. Pick up a magazine on the way home, and I guess the time got away from me. Should I make my way to bed? Put down the magazine, turn out the TV, and go to close the window. I'm about to pull it shut, but something stops me in my tracks. A smell. It's the aroma of cooking egg. In the direction of the wind, it must be coming from Furuike's house. Now, of course, preparing ramen. Furuike, therefore ramen. Ramen, therefore Furuike. They're practically synonymous. He's pretty famous in this neighborhood. Taking a deeper breath, I pick up the rich scent of pork belly. Man, I'd kill for some of that right about now. I reluctantly close the window and turn off the lights. I lie down in bed and close my eyes. I may be breathing like I'm asleep, but my mind is wide awake. I'm not sure whether it's real or just a figment of my imagination, but I can still detect that delicious aroma wafting around the room. The smell of pork belly ramen dances through my mind. Shit, I'm not gonna get any sleep at all, am I? My initially mild desire for pork ramen has transformed into an intense longing, but it's so late that the only place I could get it is the ramen shop for the station. It's way too far away even to satisfy this craving. Pull the covers over my head, groaning dejectedly. It's Friday, so 7 more days until the graduation ceremony. Spring break! I'm on in.
あ、ゆうくん、おはよう。珍しいね。今朝はギリギリじゃないんだ。
おめえが言うな。高明に起こされなかったらそっちだって同じだろうが、裏。
Yuji engages Konomi bubblehead mode. Still, it is unusual. Some nap. I thought I was cracking a joke, but Yuji stops in his track and slumps his shoulders. Wait, something actually happened? What's with the
あ
sigh?
った。
Huh?
あったんだよ、いろいろと。おかげで目が冴えちまって全然眠れなかった。
More details?
何って、そりゃあ。
Yuji waffles around the issue.
ああ、まあいろいろはいろいろだ。気にすんなって。
Come on, spit it out already! If you don't explain, I'm just going to get more worried.
ああ、
Yuji cradles his head in his arms and lets out a massive
今度
sigh.
姉貴が帰ってくる。
Aniki? By Aniki, you don't mean Tamane? Also, I found out that apparently, this game has a fan disc. A fan disc that essentially gives every female character that didn't have a route in this game a route. So we now know where the Majikoi writers got their crack from.
他にいねえだろ、他に。
Oh no. Yuji's oldest sister, Tamaki Kosaka. Oh, so it's that is actually his sister. Nice. Her name brings back bitter memories. When I was still young, Tamaki was the heart of every neighborhood kid's existence. The boss of the brats. Fearless, strong, determined. Although on top of that, she was sympathetic. She took good care of us, and we adored her for it. But whether it was her arrogance or self-conceit, she was pretty wild. The hell she raised should have gotten her into trouble many times over. Yuji and I were no match for her and ended up taking the fall for her antics more often than not. She was just a little too clever and wasn't ashamed to take advantage of that. In the middle of primary school, Tamane transferred to a boarding school. Yuji used the joke that their parents thought a strict boarding school would straighten out her crooked mind, but sometimes I have a hunch it wasn't actually a joke. Since then, I've never seen her, but judging by Yuji's unsettled attitude, she hasn't changed.
タマお姉ちゃん、帰ってくるの？
Kotomi, on the other hand, is clearly delighted.
随分と嬉しそうだな。
だってタマお姉ちゃんに会えるんだよ。
I'd forgotten, but Kotomi was pretty attached to Tamane. When they stood next to each other, they kind of looked like sisters. And when Tama transferred, Kotomi moped around for
こ
months.
の前会えたのが去年の夏休みだったから、すごく久しぶりだよ。
Huh? Actually met up with her?
あれ、もしかしてタカ君、タマお姉ちゃんと会ってないの？
No, I haven't seen her since she transferred schools. I guess it's been years by now.
どうしてあんな仲良しだったのに。
Were we? It's news to me. Well, you know, it's just never seemed to work out.
じゃあ、今度会いに行こうよ。
Eh?
ねえねえゆうくん、今度タカ君と遊びに行っていい？
No, really, it's fine. It's fine if I don't see her. Frankly, if at all possible, I'd like to not see her.
ああ、まあそのうちな。
Yuji replies, unusually
いつ帰っ
hesitant.
てくるかまだわかんねえから、そん時になったら知らせるわ。
今度は何日くらいいられるのかな。春休みの間ずっといてくれたらいいな。ゆうくん？
それだったらこんな頭を抱えてねえよ。本当に帰ってくるから頭いってんじゃねえか。
それっていつもみたいにまた向こうに帰っちゃうんじゃなくて？
姉貴、こっちの学校に転校するために本当に帰ってくるだとよ。俺の平穏な日々を引っかき回されるかと思うと、神も仏もいねえのか。
You know, Yuji, non-believers probably shouldn't be whinging about lack of divine favor in the first place.
本当？やったー。
嬉しそうだな。本当に。
Seeing Konami in such high spirits, Yuji forces a smile. What are those feelings? It's not like I don't understand. Tamane is a year above us, so she'll be in third year next year, right? Why does she come back now?
さあね。いつの間にか姉貴が勝手に決めたみたいだし、いきなりそっちに戻る転校の手続きも済ませたなんて言われて、親父も慌ててたよ。姉貴が何考えてんだか俺にはわからないね。
Her parents must have given her permission, though. But your folks are really strict. They're rarely at home due to work, so I've almost never met him. But his father's stern attitude leaves quite an impression.
まあ当然カンカンに怒ったんだけどな。姉貴もガキの頃とは違うっていうか、話の内容はよくわかんねえけど、親父を言いくるめたっていうか、見事に親父を手玉に取ってたな。前の学校も口八丁手八丁で教師連中やり込めてたから扱いにくかったらしいぜ。噂じゃ姉貴が転校するって話が出たら職員会議で万歳参照されたって話だ。
So not only is she not different, but worse? She leveled up?
してんだよ。あんなのに365日付き合わされる俺の身にもなってくれよ。ま、転校先は寺女らしいから、それがせめてもの救いだけどな。
Terajo, I guess it's a nickname for a Sayonji girls' school. It's famous for being a school for rich girls in our
寺女
area.
なんだ。もしかしたら一緒にって思ったのに、ちょっと残念かも。
She's not actually going to that rich girls' school, I'm betting.
というわけで悪いな、高木。
Huh? Sorry about
い
what?
や、なんていうか、今のうちに謝っとくわ。
Okay, but I don't understand what you're apologizing for.
いや、知らねえってのは幸せだよな。
I'm calling it now. The entire reason why she hard focused on him and Yuji was because Yuji's her little brother. She gets to fucking be she gets to fucking bully him, and she bullied the MC because she actually liked the MC or something. And she's going to hard focus on him again now. Hey, Yuji! What's that about? Jeez, at least I could explain. Sound of a middle bat hitting a baseball echoes throughout the school grounds. The white ball flies high into the blue sky for a while, before eventually dropping and getting caught by at second base. For today's PE class, we guys are playing baseball while girls are running. Until my turn to bat comes, I watch the janitor water the flower bed. He looks bored as hell. The scene makes me feel as if we're right in the middle of summer, but the cool wind of March blows across the field, reminding me of the actual season we're in.
また打ちやがった。
Yuji mumbles with displeasure. We had lost our tracksuits to the PE teacher as punishment for moving lazily at the beginning of class. It was still too cold for shorts. We huddled our knees together, waiting for our turn to bat.
さっさと三振しちまえ。
Yuji says, but our second batter successfully hits the ball. We'd like to finish this game as quickly as possible, but claiming victory is another thing. Running would have been better. After hearing my mumbling, Yuji turns to watch the girls. Actually, instead of the game, all the boys are now staring at the running
女
girls.
子は元気だね。
When the girls heard at first that the boys will be started with baseball, they cried out in dissatisfaction. But without the warmth of our tracksuits, running would actually be much better. Wonder if it's because they have thicker skin fat.
皮下脂肪か。
In response to my inquiry, Yuji sighs
体
flabbergasted.
操服って何気に露出度高いんよな。
What's this all of a sudden?
なんつうか、この体の線がはっきり出るっつうか。
Don't describe with your hands. I look away from Yuji, who acts as if she's grabbing
走ってる
something.
時なんか特に瞬間風速で言えば水着を超えるよな。
Shut up already. Fast the girls start passing the goal line by pairs, though it's still a bit early. Before class ends, one by one they leave the schoolyard.
あっちはもう終わりかよ。何やってんだよ。早いとこ三振しまえ。
うるせえ。
また打ちやがった。
Yuji pouts displeased, not only because it's gold, but it seems like he's no longer having fun. Oh, class Prez also made it to the finish. Never mind, she still has another lap.
なんであんな格好が体操着に指定されてるのかって不思議なんだよな。
He's particularly critical, and his eyes follow the girls without
ブ
pause.
ルマなんてケツそのものじゃねえか。
Don't say arse.
こんな。
Don't use your hands either. Understand? He's been saying, since admittedly, I've been watching as well. Staring from a distance doesn't come off being indecent as compared to staring up close. Well, in Yuji's case, it's not that I'm angry at him for being vulgar, but that he's being obvious about it.
高木よ。
Yuji mutters while taking his eyes off the
彼
girls.
女にできたら触ってもいいんだよな。あれ。
Beats me. It's not like I could get one. Look away from Yuji. Of course, my gaze doesn't focus on the baseball game. I'm a guy too. Isn't that? The girl looks familiar. She whose name I cannot remember. Realization struck me. It's that white painted girl that's been beating with me. Going to the class president, her name was Yuma. I don't know her surname though. Another potential CG. She finished running long ago and is now drinking from the water fountain beside the school building. Looks like she's a pretty athletic person. Our eyes met though subtly. I'm not worried about what she thinks of me. Or at least I try not to act worried. In order that she doesn't think otherwise, I don't take my eyes off her. I get locked in the game of whoever looks away first loses.
おい、高木。
Like I'd know. Go and get yourself a girlfriend and ask.
何の話をしてる？
Yuji points me to the batter's box.
次、お前の番だぞ。
Huh?
尻の話ばかりしてるから。
That was all you! Pick up the bat, swing it 2-3 times, and stand at the batter's box. I can tell that Yuma's scrutinizing me. To avoid suspicion, she is keeping the water running and pretends to drink. I'd like to avoid acting in such an unbecoming manner, but before I realize it, I'm also guilty of the same thing. The weird antagonism of hers sure is contagious. So where's the pitch coming from? You know damn well I'm gonna fucking... Don't swing. The pitcher can probably tell that I'm already keen to hit the ball. In case, I'm sure I'll be able to see the ball's trajectory if I let it pass. Take my stance, hold back the urge to swing, and wait for the ball.
Strike!
The white ball dove into the low outside corner the last moment. Strike one. This isn't over yet. Low inside. For some reason, the pitcher seems good at throwing low balls. If that's the case, I should swing low inside corner. This time, sure. Clang. Direct hit, I definitely felt that. The ball flies off like a bullet. The ball lands on top of the gymnasium store roof.
何やってやがんだよ。
I was too conscious about her watching and put too much power into my swing.
まったく、なくすと後が面倒だぞ。
Yes.
落ち着き払ってる場合かよ。ありゃ、はしごでもないと無理だな。すいません。用務員さん。
Yuji calls out to the janitor watering the plants. The janitor spots Yuji. He unconsciously takes a step this way. Look out! He was about to step on a dragonfly, which then flies up and bites him in the face. In a panic, the janitor lets go of the hose handle. This interrupts the flow of water out of the hose, thereby increasing the overall water pressure in the system. A voice was heard from the drinking fountain. The increased water pressure found relief through the fountain. A sudden rush of water hit Yuma in the face as she was at the mouth of the faucet. Not just her face, but her body was drenched as well, exacerbating the bite of the unpleasant cold. The girls around her went into a mild panic. Some frantically ran to fetch towels, others to stop the water, and others simply ran around in confusion. Amidst all that chaos, a lone figure rose up resolutely, looking my way as I stood in the batter's box. I could feel the intense heat from her fiery gaze. She's glaring at me, isn't she? Even though what I did was the trigger. It set off an uncontrollable chain of events that's completely out of my hands. Yeah, this is just an unfortunate accident caused by one coincidence after another. There's no point in blaming someone. The bell signals at the end of class. The boys head back to the school building in groups of 2s and 3s. The result of the match remains undecided. The drenched Yuma was pulled away by another girl, but her eyes never left to me. So it still ends up being my fault after all. Let's see. We literally only have her as an option or going home. And I ain't about to go home. That's boring. Let's end the day and then let depart. Should I just go straight home? It's not like I have anything in particular to do today. Everyone's either on their way back home or doing club activities. So the shoe rack area is deserted. I shut my shoebox and decide to head home. As clang of the shoebox fades away, I hear a sound and freeze. My ears perk up. What was that? Just from the sports ground? Just a gust of wind? Now something else. The sound, or should I say a voice, sounds like someone breathing. I can barely hear it. The bits I can make out are strangely mesmerizing. Can't be. Nah, it's not coming from the nearby school infirmary. Probably wouldn't be able to hear breathing all the way from there. The sound's coming from inside school. Rather, it seems to be coming from the school gate. I don't have much to do, so I might as well try to investigate. Decide to follow the sound and head beyond the school building. Still entranced by that breathing, I slowly walk towards this gate alongside the neatly trimmed bushes. When I reach the gate, I find what I'm looking for. Huh. Off to the side, there's a student surrounded by piles of packages. Upon closer inspection, I find that they are labeled with the logos of famous book publishers. That's where the voice was coming from. What is she doing? I could hear her struggling desperately. Peer over the packages and find Tamaki in the midst of them. Class president. She lowers her head and goes red in embarrassment. You don't really have to say alone when you're out of breath, surrounded by boxes. What are you doing with these boxes? Hiding them? What's in them?
図書室に入る新刊です。業者が予定より早く来て置いてっちゃったんですよ。
She was down on all fours, cramped and exhausted from a pile of receipts in her arms. Are you checking if they forgot to deliver anything? Need some help?
それはもう終わりましたから。
She quickly tucks the receipts away in her skirt pocket. The skirt pockets have always filled me with awe. I've never really understood how they were constructed. Although after a quick peek, it seems to bear a bit like those of a man's hakama. It's been an eternal riddle to men around the world. Even if we had a diagram illustrating how a hand goes into a skirt pocket, we would still come up with crazy explanations.
大丈夫。問題ないですから。
You certainly don't look fine.
よっこいしょっと。
Sounding like she's on her deathbed, Class Prez brushes away the leaves on her uniform. Class Prez, will you be carrying these by yourself?
いえ、私の仕事は受け取りの確認だけだったんですけど。
She points up to the overcast sky
降り出
mid-sentence.
してきたら大事ですから。
These books are delicate and need shelter. They would get completely soaked out here.
よいしょ。
Inchi bends over and picks up the box. It looks pretty heavy. Sure enough, Class Prez gets a little too ambitious and picks up one of the larger cardboard boxes. I'll help. The usual Class Prez hastily sticks out her palm to dissuade me.
大丈夫ですから。手伝うなんてそんな。
She somehow manages to utter those words despite carrying a box that's clearly too heavy for her.
いいですから。
She's stubborn. Well, two can play at that game. No, I'm going to help you out. I can't stand here arguing all day. We have to get these boxes out of here before it starts raining.
すみません。
She finally gives in, but she looks a bit pleased. But now even she had realized that packages were much more than she had bargained for, especially this one. No matter how much she tried, she would never be able to lift it alone. I grab the box she's holding and pile up two more in my other hand.
河野くん、力持ちなんですね。
I'm a bit embarrassed. Guess she gets impressed easily. I leave two of the smallest packages for Incha to carry, which she barely manages to pick up. You okay? Let's go. So, are we headed for the library?
はい、お願いします。
As you start walking back towards the school building, Class Prez remembers something and opens her mouth to speak.
今、私のこと委員長って呼びませんでした？
Not at all.
ありがとうございます。
Did he actually? Weird. I didn't notice him calling her Incho. Oh.
ここでいいです。
Upon entering the library, Incho stands still and bows to me. She may have said here is fine, but she probably plans on carrying them further inside. You know, I can actually help you carry them all the way. I continue to move on ahead past the flustered Incho.
すみません。こっちです。
She sincerely guides me to the correct drop-off point. I snag the packages up inside the counter according to her instructions.
ありがとうございます。こんなことまでさせちゃって、本当にごめんなさい。
She bows over and over in an exaggerated display of courtesy. It's no big deal. Despite that, she continues bowing. To Incho, he stubbornly refuses help, but at times, a simple act like this was a big deal. Komaki? No, it's not that. Not very close to her, but it felt awkward for us to be calling each other so formally after almost a year. We're classmates, so you don't need to be so formal. Politeness would just widen the distance between us.
でもそんなこと、私困ります。
As per usual, Incho is hasty. If she would stop talking like this all the time, she wouldn't have had this issue in the first place. However, this wasn't something that would happen by itself. I would have to make an effort to help her change. I cleared my throat somewhat artificially and turned to face Incho. Komaki? Manaka Komaki reflexively straightens her posture. I was planning on holding her face in my hands while I addressed her informally. Getting that close to a girl is way too scary for me. I'm going to start calling you directly by your name. If you keep answering me so formally, wouldn't the people around you think you're my puppy?
ワンコ？
Yes, a puppy. Don't you think it's objectively strange to wag your tail and bark when being called directly by name? When you answer so formally like that, isn't it the same as being a puppy? People might even start spreading rumors that I keep you on a leash whenever the two of us are alone.
それは困ります。
And so?
そんな、むちゃくちゃです。
She looks at me, her face utterly bewildered. Her eyes shift wildly to express her confusion. That was a bit rude, wasn't it? Even I was starting to have second doubts about it. Second doubts? Second thoughts or have doubts about it. Nah, it went beyond that. At any rate, I was intruding on someone's private sanctuary and uninvited, forcing them to become friendly. After a few seconds, that felt like an eternity. Komaki averts her eyes as to avoid me.
はい。
Nope, I mean, it seems like that's all he can manage to say for now. That was fairly pushing me, but if this would lead to Komaki opening up to me more, everything would be alright. Still embarrassed, Komaki touches her nose and with all her might manages to raise her head, looking somewhat brighter.
わかりました。なのよ。
She's clearly still a bit uncomfortable. It appears that the packages we brought in are going to be taken care of by someone else. Well, that's what Komaki said to me when I asked whether she would stay and finish her duties by herself. There was an old-looking door beyond the counter, beside the mountain of cardboard boxes. I don't know where that leads. Probably an office. The door was made from amber-colored evergreen. It was massive enough to make you wonder about what was beyond it.
気になりまなる？
Correcting herself mid-sentence from addressing me politely, Komaki waits for my answer. Imagine that she was looking for a specific answer. After a brief pause, I give her the answer she was looking for. Yes? Komaki puts on a shy smile. She twists her torso in a slightly embarrassed yet triumphant manner.
手伝ってくれたから見せちゃおうかな。
What?
私の大事なところ。
She smiles teasingly. I gulp. Seeing her face turn beet red, my imagination starts running wild.
違います。違うよ。変な意味じゃないよ。
Sensing the meaning behind the change in my expression, Komaki hurriedly waves her palms to refuse any ideas that had begun to spring up in my mind. Then she turns her eyes up at me to verify my facial expression.
どうする？
The breeze that came from within the room carried a faint wooden scent. As I stepped through the door, I found myself transported to another world and let a gasp. It's just like a antique bookshop out of a movie. Almost made me forget that I was in a room in a school library. It's nice. Awestruck, I tell her what's on my
で
mind.
しょ？
Shyly, Komaki guides me further inside. It's deathly quiet inside. As she closed the massive door behind us, the door became draped in silence. Though cheers from the sports ground could faintly be heard, they were too dampened by pleasant stillness.
私の隠れ家です。
Komaki timidly introduces the room to me.
どうぞどうぞ。
She leads me to a lounge suite sofa. Komaki does not sit with me and instead walks to a corner that appears to be a makeshift
飲み
kitchen.
物は紅茶でいい？
She seemed to be enjoying herself as she entertained me. I feel a bit spoiled. Anything's
本
fine.
当に何でもいいの？
Right, here it is then. I could hear her stifled giggling. Got the faint impression that I was being pranked. When did Komaki become so mischievous? She had stopped being so formally polite. Komaki's mood seems to have changed. Was my medicine a little too effective, I wonder? Nah, it wasn't that. It wasn't not that. The reason was that this is the place where Komaki can feel most comfortable. As someone who's always surrounded by her classmates, this place was one of the few where she could be by herself. Hold on. Wrong. I suppose it was like a secret hideout. A secret hideout all to herself. Guess it suits her. It's very relaxing here. Guess it suits her. I suppose Komaki's mischievous side is quite entertaining. She seems much more familiar now, unlike our regular encounters where she, as class president, would always have to mask her true feelings for the sake of professionalism. Only I knew the side of Komaki. Despite this being a mere coincidence of circumstance, I felt a bit special being the only one who could talk to her like this. Realistically, knowing that Mana has... not Mana. Yuma. I don't know why I got Mana from there. Knowing that Yuma has been friends with her for a long time at this point, she probably knows too. Oh, so hold on. Is there anything I can help with? But it looks like she's almost done. I can already hear the sound of boiling
いい
water.
の？お客様はおとなしく座っててください。ミルク入れる？
You even have milk here? I don't want to put her through even more trouble, so I refuse.
お待たせしました。
In addition to tea, mini scones were also on the tray. We even had these here. After all, she is a girl. I suppose it's only natural for her to bring sweets. Thanks. Take the teacup I'm offered and inhale the amber-colored aroma. I normally don't fuss over drinks, so I'm not familiar with the different kinds of tea, but I really enjoyed the mild bitterness of her tea that spread throughout my mouth. I mean, realistically, I'm probably going to be using this one. This one is a good option. She awaits my reaction while vaguely anticipating anticipating with upturned eyes. It's good. That was all I could muster before drinking it all up. I fumbled words around in my mouth, in my head, looking for something more appropriate to say, but Komaki broke the silence before I could think of anything.
さっき私が力持ちだねって言った時、河野くん困ったような顔してた。
Did I?
河野くんって褒められるの苦手だよね。
I don't?
そうだよ。
I don't like being praised, huh? Since I'm not used to being complimented, I'm pretty awkward when it comes to complimenting other people too. Like when she was in the classroom, Komaki rarely spoke her mind. Unlike when she wasn't in the classroom, Komaki rarely spoke her mind. I suppose that's also the effect of the secret hideout. It's only natural. You know, like when a dragonfly is stronger in its own territory. Speaking of which, Komaki, are you a librarian? Nah, it's got to be possible. She's the class president. However, when she came in here, she used the key of her own key holder instead of taking one from the key
う
box.
文芸部員だから。
Literature. Does that club still exist? I don't know what the club activities are. Do they all read books and write reports on them? I shudder. I've been awful at writing those since grade school. But you aren't a librarian, are you? Why does she have a key to the archives?
そこはそれ。
This is also class president magic. I don't know what the reason is, but at any rate, the library committee appears to trust Komaki. What about the other members? There were traces alluding to the daily visiting of multiple
こ
people.
こでの作業は私が勝手にやってるだけだから。
Why on earth was she going as far as to borrow the keys to be in the archives? Couldn't possibly be just to make herself not at home here. What are you doing
あれ
here? Komaki reaches over to the shelf and pulls off a book. Turned it over and pointed at the back cover. Black lines and numbers are neatly lined up. Barcode.
ついこの間本の貸し出しが 図書カードからバーコードに変わったでしょ？
As you mentioned it, I vaguely remember them saying that in the class meeting. However, I still hadn't switched from using a library card since then.
だからさ、書庫の方にもバーコードを振り分けておけば自由に貸し出しできるから。
According to Komaki's explanation for books from the archives to be lent, the following steps need to be undertaken. 1. Look for the desired book in the collection companion. 2. Transcribe the book's publication number. 3. Apply in writing to borrow that book from the archives. 4. Librarian will search for the desired book. 5. Finally, the lending procedure can take place. That's the gist of it. It's hard for students to even know which books are available since we're not allowed in the archives. Barcodes make the process much easier, but it seems a bit pointless as allocating a barcode to them doesn't mean people will want to borrow them. But aren't the books in the archive kept in storage because no one's borrowing them? The archive surely is just a storage place. Komaki faintly tilts her head, looking a bit sad.
古いものでもきっと誰かが必要としているはずだから。
She is resurrecting the books in the archive. It's much like Komaki to try and save someone or something even when she wasn't her out. She probably intends to keep at it until she has put a barcode on every single book in here. Look around at the many books buried in the bookshelves. It's tough for working alone, isn't it? She shakes her head in response with a hint of sadness in her face.
急ぐことでもないし、半分趣味みたいなものだから。
So I'm sure it involves some heavy labor.
それはコツコツと。
Komaki was quite stubborn when it comes to rejecting goodwill. If you need help...
ダメですよ。そんな迷惑なんて。
Jeez, let me finish speaking.
かけれませんってばなのよ。
She starts talking formally like how she used to. In a way, it shows her integrity. It's not like I intend on coming every day. I'm just saying, if I ever drop by, I could lend you a hand.
私も毎日来てるわけじゃなくって、せっかく来てくれても留守だったら、そんな無駄足踏ませてごめんなさい。
No, there's no need to apologize
だから
beforehand.
本当にいいから気持ちだけありがとう。
I raised my palms towards Komaki to stop her as she started to pick up pace. It was just a whim of mine. I might not even come here anymore after today. It was I who offered to help in the first place, so if you ever need anything, feel free to call me. Speak in one breath, without giving her a chance to interject, then inhale once more, gathering my courage to continue. You could just give an honest, I understand once in a while too. I feel my face getting flushed as soon as I finish speaking. Jeez, I really shouldn't have said that. Such an embarrassing sermon. I mutter under my breath and turn to avert my eyes from Komaki. Komaki hung her head and her face right down to her neck and remained silent as if she'd forgotten how to speak. I realized that I was being a bit too pushy. However, I thought that kindness meant thinking about others and helping them as much as possible rather than whether I felt embarrassed or not. After a while, she decidedly raised her head, and in contrast to the forcefulness of the gesture, she puts on a gentle smile.
わかりました。なのだ。
Her manner of speech quickly grew more amusing.
忘れ物ありませんか？
After confirming my response, she turns and looks the door to the archives. The sun had already disappeared below the buildings, painting the outside a deep red. The weather report this morning had said that the weather might take a turn for the worse this afternoon, but it didn't look like there was anything to worry about. Checked the ornamental clock on the library wall. It was about time to head home. Of course, the library closing hours had also long since passed, and Komaki and I were the only two people here. Seems like we ended up relaxing here for far longer than expected. Didn't we come here to just drop off some boxes? Komaki? Komaki was preparing to go home, stops and tilts her head. Was I a nuisance today?
そんなことないです。
She shook her head after a brief pause. The tense atmosphere had made me suspicious, but I was satisfied with her reply. We were already outside the
雨
archives.
が降らなくてよかったですね。
Her speech pattern had returned to its prior state. Even though it was past the time to go home, I could catch sight of one or two students still leaving the building or grounds. It was awkward to walk side by side with Komaki, and the further down the corridor we walked, the farther apart we aligned. It's not like I'm worried about that someone I knew would see us and misunderstand or anything, though.
それじゃあ。
It was Komaki that initiated the farewell. And not vaguely. I don't really know what to say in a situation like this. Eventually we parted ways before I even reached into shoe boxes, even though we were heading in the same direction. Suddenly I remember, if there's no one left inside the school grounds, and if there were no people in front of the school gates, how far along the road home could we have walked together? Tomorrow's Saturday. Such a pain having to go to school just for half a day's lessons. They could just make it a full day, but then give us a day off every other Saturday. 6.
今日はいい天気だね。
I don't think so. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. See you next time. Bye bye.